Don't enter 2026 the same way you entered every other year, hoping instead of deciding. Hope has ruined more lives than failure ever could. If you are walking into a new year without new habits, you are not progressing, you are just aging. Let me be direct. The world does not reward intentions. It rewards people who know what they want and move without apology. Most people don't fail because they are weak. They fail because they are unclear. They wake up every day busy, exhausted, stressed, yet moving nowhere. Motion without direction, noise without progress. They confuse activity with achievement, and then they wonder why years pass and nothing changes. Let me say this without mercy. If you do not know exactly what you want, life will decide for you, and it will choose comfort, mediocrity, and obedience. Clarity is power. Vagueness is suicide. A clear purpose cuts through confusion like a blade. It tells you what to ignore. It tells you what to sacrifice. It tells you when to say no, even when the crowd says yes. Without it, you are available to every distraction, every opinion, every temporary pleasure that steals your future quietly. Look around. Most people are not living their own lives. They are reacting to circumstances, copying trends, chasing validation and calling it destiny. They don't choose their goals, they inherit them. From society, from family pressure, from fear of standing alone. And fear loves unclear people. Fear feeds on hesitation. Fear thrives where purpose is undefined. A definite purpose does something brutal and beautiful at the same time. It exposes you. Once you know exactly what you want, excuses lose their power. You can no longer hide behind "I'm trying" or "I'm figuring it out." Clarity demands responsibility. That's why most people avoid it, because once the goal is clear, failure becomes personal. When your purpose is sharp, your mind starts working differently. Opportunities that were invisible suddenly appear. Your decisions speed up. Your tolerance for nonsense disappears. You stop explaining yourself to people who don't matter. You stop negotiating with laziness. You stop romanticizing struggle and start demanding results. A person with a definite purpose walks differently, speaks differently, thinks differently. They are no longer available for small talk about small lives. But here's the uncomfortable truth no one tells you. Clarity is not found. It is chosen. You don't wait for clarity. You declare it. Even when you're afraid. Even when you don't have all the answers. Even when the path is unclear. The destination must be clear, or the path will never appear. Indecision is not intelligence. It is disguised fear. Fear of choosing wrong. Fear of being judged. Fear of committing and failing publicly. But understand this. Refusing to choose is still a choice. And it always leads to it removes weak options. It removes distractions disguised as opportunities. It removes people who benefit from your confusion. That's why clarity feels lonely at first. When you become clear, some people won't recognize you anymore. Good. That means it's working. You don't need 10 goals. You need one that dominates your mind, one that wakes you up early and keeps you up late, one that makes comfort feel dangerous and excuses feel embarrassing. When the purpose is strong enough, discipline stops feeling forced. Persistence stops feeling heroic. Work becomes identity, and don't confuse clarity with perfection. Your purpose does not need to be poetic. It needs to be precise. Not "I want success," but what kind, by when, at what cost. Vague goals create vague results. The mind cannot execute what it cannot define. Every major achievement in history began as a clear decision before it became a visible reality. The world bends for people who know where they are going, because certainty is rare, and rare things are respected. Here's the brutal part. If you enter another year without a definite purpose, you are gambling your life on randomness. You are hoping discipline shows up without direction. You are expecting results without commitment. That's not optimism, that's delusion. Clarity does not guarantee success, but without it, failure is guaranteed. So sit alone if you must. Shut out the noise. Stop asking people what you should do. They are just as lost as you are. Decide what you want your life to stand for. Decide what you are willing to suffer for. Decide what you refuse to compromise. Because once your purpose is clear, the world stops being confusing. It becomes challenging, but fair, and fair is all you need. Self-discipline is the difference between the life you want and the life you keep explaining away. Talent doesn't decide your future. Luck doesn't either. Motivation is a liar that shows up when it's convenient and disappears when the work gets heavy. The only force that stays when everything else leaves is discipline. And if you don't build it deliberately, your life will be run by comfort, excuses, and emotional weakness. Let's be clear about something uncomfortable. Most people know exactly what to do. They just don't do it. They wait to feel ready. They wait for inspiration. They wait for the right time. Meanwhile, their habits are quietly deciding their future without their permission. Self-discipline is not about intensity. It is about obedience to your own standards. Relentless discipline means you act even when you're tired, even when you're bored, even when no one is watching, especially when no one is watching, because the moment you only perform when you feel like it, you hand control of your life to your emotions, and emotions are unreliable leaders. Discipline is not punishment. It is self-respect in action. Every time you do what you said you would do, you build trust with yourself. Every time you break a promise to yourself, you weaken that trust. Eventually, your mind stops believing you. That's when procrastination feels natural and confidence feels fake. Relentless self-discipline means you don't negotiate with weakness. You don't argue with laziness. You don't give excuses a microphone. You decide once, and then you execute daily without drama. Most people try to be disciplined only when things are hard. That's backwards. Discipline is built in the boring moments, in the repetition, in the routines that feel unimpressive but compound quietly. Anyone can push for a week. Very few can obey their plan for months. And here's the brutal truth. If you cannot control your daily actions, you cannot control your destiny. Discipline doesn't care about your background. It doesn't care about your past failures. It doesn't care how confident you feel. It only responds to behavior. Show up or fall behind. There is no middle ground. Relentless discipline also means saying no, often. No to distractions. No to people who waste your time. No to habits that feel good now but cost you later. Every yes has a price. Weak discipline pays that price without realizing it. Strong discipline calculates the cost in advance. Comfort is the enemy you invite into your life disguised as reward. It whispers you deserve a break. It tells you tomorrow is safer than today. It promises relief and delivers regret. Discipline hears that voice and ignores it. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your habits. And habits don't change through motivation. They change through standards, enforced daily, even when inconvenient. Understand this clearly. Discipline creates freedom. Lack of discipline creates chaos. People think discipline limits them. In reality, it removes limitations. It gives you options. It gives you leverage. It gives you control over your time, your body, your mind, and your future. Undisciplined people live reactive lives. Disciplined people design theirs. There will be days you want to quit. That's normal. There will be days you feel behind, uninspired, unconfident. Discipline doesn't ask how you feel. It asks what needs to be done, and then it demands compliance. Relentless self-discipline means you stop seeking external validation. You don't need applause to perform. You don't need approval to continue. You operate from internal command, not external pressure. This is not about being extreme. It's about being consistent. Extreme effort burns out. Consistent discipline compounds, quietly, ruthlessly. Over time, if you want a different life, you must become a different operator. Someone who does not wait for conditions to improve. Someone who moves first. Someone who executes when it's uncomfortable and rests only when the work is complete. Because at the end of the day, discipline is simple but unforgiving. Do the work or live with the consequences. There is no shortcut around it, only submission to it. And the moment you embrace relentless self-discipline, life stops controlling you and starts responding to you. Your mind is either your servant or your master. Most people live under the illusion that their thoughts are random, uncontrollable, harmless. They are not. Every thought is a blueprint. Every thought is an instruction to your life. And if you do not control them, they will control you silently, relentlessly, until your potential is buried under a mountain of wasted mental energy. Let me be brutally honest. Uncontrolled thoughts are the fastest path to mediocrity. Fear, doubt, anger, resentment, They all start as tiny sparks in the mind, seemingly harmless until they ignite destructive behaviors that eat your time, drain your energy, and sabotage your results. The world is not waiting for you to figure out your emotions. Success does not negotiate with indecision. It rewards clarity, focus, and mental dominance. Control of thoughts is not optional. It is mandatory. Every successful person has mastered this skill, whether they admit it or not. The difference between someone who achieves and someone who drifts is simple. The achiever decides what thoughts to entertain and what thoughts to discard. The drifter allows every stray fear, every fleeting doubt, every petty emotion to dictate action or inaction. Think about it. How often do you chase a goal only to stop yourself with negative thoughts? I'm not ready. What if I fail? I don't have enough time. These thoughts are poison disguised as caution. They immobilize your will and crush momentum before the first step is even taken. The world does not care about your self-doubt. It only rewards those who act with clarity, confidence, and control. Control of thoughts begins with awareness. You must become a ruthless observer of your own mind. Every thought that arises, especially the weak, fearful, or distracting ones, must be identified immediately. Name it, expose it, and then decide, does this thought serve my purpose, or does it sabotage it? The moment you start letting unwanted thoughts linger, you hand over control of your life. But awareness alone is not enough. Control is action. You replace destructive thoughts with constructive ones, not passively, but deliberately. You feed your mind with focus, with precision, with unwavering belief in what you are building. Thoughts about fear, about hesitation, about comparison, about envy, these must be expelled ruthlessly. They are parasites that multiply when ignored. Here's the uncomfortable truth most people refuse to admit. Your mind will resist control. It prefers comfort, repetition, and drama. It will tempt you with worry, overthinking, and distraction. If you yield to it even once, it will remember, and it will come back stronger. The mind obeys only through relentless practice, through repeated insistence that you decide the narrative, not circumstance, not emotion, not external chaos. Control of thoughts also requires discipline of attention. Where your attention goes, energy flows. If your attention drifts to fear, worry, gossip, or resentment, your energy flows to weakness. If your attention focuses on goals, strategy, action, and personal mastery, energy flows to growth. Your future is literally the sum of what you allow your mind to dwell on. No one will warn you about the subtlety of uncontrolled thoughts. They accumulate quietly. They influence decisions, relationships, habits, and ultimately outcomes. A single negative thought repeated daily can erode confidence faster than any external obstacle. Likewise, a single empowering thought repeated daily can create momentum strong enough to overcome massive challenges. Control of thoughts also demands decisiveness in filtering information. What you read, what you watch, what you listen to, these are fuel for your mind. Weak, fear-driven, or shallow content becomes a breeding ground for chaos in your thinking. Strong minds are selective. They consume only what sharpens, challenges, or elevates them. Everything else is ignored, avoided, or expelled. Finally, remember this: the mind mirrors what it is commanded to. It does not distinguish between fantasy and command. It acts on repeated focus. If you repeatedly dwell on failure, weakness, or fear, the mind orchestrates circumstances to match. If you repeatedly dwell on purpose, strength, and execution, the mind aligns reality to your vision. The world does not care about your intentions. It responds to your mental command. Control of thoughts is not natural. It is trained. It is fought for. It is enforced daily with relentless vigilance. But once mastered, it becomes the foundation for unstoppable action. It turns hesitation into decisiveness, fear into courage, weakness into resilience, ordinary potential into extraordinary results. Make no mistake, if you enter 2026 without mastery over your thoughts, you will enter as a passenger in your own life. You will drift, react, and repeat old patterns. But if you command your mind, you become the architect of your destiny. Every choice, every action, every outcome will bend to your mental discipline. Control your thoughts, or they will control you. Nothing is more ruthless, nothing is more absolute, and nothing determines your success or failure more decisively Time is the one resource you cannot recover. Most people think they have control over it. They don't. They waste it, abuse it, and then act surprised when their lives remain unchanged. Every hour you let slip by without purpose is a vote for mediocrity. Every day you surrender to distraction is a day your dreams silently die. Time is brutal because it doesn't negotiate, it doesn't apologize, and it doesn't return favors. Once it passes, it is gone forever. Let's be brutally honest. Mastery over time is the ultimate differentiator between success and failure. Talent, opportunity, and luck are temporary. Discipline can waver. Motivation will falter. But time, if mastered, compounds relentlessly in your favor. And the moment you stop treating time as sacred, it compounds relentlessly against you. Most people don't fail because they are incapable. They fail because they are late to themselves. They postpone their own mind. The human brain craves novelty, comfort, and procrastination. It will try to trick you into thinking multitasking is efficient, scrolling is harmless, and tomorrow is plenty of time. It will lie to you constantly. Mastery over time requires vigilance. It requires self-command that ignores temptation and enforces accountability. Time is both cruel and honest. It doesn't favor excuses. It doesn't reward sentimentality. It only rewards those who can use it better than anyone else. Those who do leave mediocrity behind. Those who don't watch life happen to them while wondering where the years went. And here's the most uncomfortable reality. You cannot get more of it. You cannot pause it. You cannot rewind it. Every second lost is irretrievable, and no apology or regret will restore it. The difference between ordinary and extraordinary lives is not chance. It is how ruthlessly they controlled their hours, their minutes, their moments. Mastery over time is the foundation of everything else. Without it, clarity, discipline, thought control, all of it is wasted effort. But with it, you create leverage, multiply productivity, and turn effort into unstoppable momentum. You bend reality because you own the one thing everyone else squanders, time itself. If you enter 2026 without mastering your hours, you will enter it like everyone else, reactive, distracted, overwhelmed. But if you take control now, every day becomes a weapon. Every hour a brick in the life you are building. Every choice deliberate. Every moment intentional. That is mastery. That is power. That is what separates those who live fully from those who simply exist. Time is ruthless. Be ruthless in return. Indecision is the silent killer of potential. Most people think they are thoughtful, careful, or strategic when they hesitate. They are not. They are scared. They are paralyzed by fear of being wrong, fear of judgment, fear of failure. And while they wait, life passes them by. Opportunities vanish. Goals slip away. Momentum dies. Every moment spent in indecision is a moment spent surrendering control of your future. Decisiveness is the hallmark of every person who achieves extraordinary results. It is not arrogance. It is not impulsiveness. It is clarity in action, the ability to choose and commit without hesitation, even in the face of uncertainty. Indecisive people linger, overanalyze, and consult every opinion. Decisive people assess, decide, and execute. Their speed of action creates leverage that hesitation can never replicate. Let me be blunt. The world rewards those who decide, not those who wait for certainty, perfection, or comfort. Decisions are how progress begins. Without them, ideas remain dreams, plans remain scribbles on paper, and potential rots silently in the mind. Waiting for the perfect moment is a recipe for mediocrity. There is no perfect moment. There is only now, and your willingness to act. Decisiveness is forged in clarity of purpose. If you know what you want and why you want it, making decisions becomes easier. The options shrink. The noise disappears. You see clearly which path leads forward and which is a distraction. But knowing alone is not enough. Decisiveness demands commitment. Once a choice is made, it is executed fully, without regret, without hesitation, without second-guessing. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Most people believe hesitation protects them from mistakes. It does not. Hesitation guarantees mistakes of a far worse kind, missed opportunities. Every second spent wondering what if is a second spent allowing life to happen to you instead of through you. Decisions made quickly, even imperfectly, allow adjustment and learning. Decisions never made allow stagnation and decay. Decisiveness also requires ruthlessness with distractions. Opinions, criticisms, doubts, fears, they will all scream for attention when you try to act. Most people let these forces delay or cancel their decisions. Decisive people acknowledge the noise but refuse to obey it. They weigh facts, trust judgment, and move forward. They understand that action creates clarity while hesitation creates confusion. Another uncomfortable reality: every decision carries risk. Decisiveness is not risk-free. It is responsibility-heavy. You cannot escape the consequences of your choices. But here's the brilliance. Those who decide quickly gain the advantage of momentum. The hesitant lose not because they fail, but because they never start. Failure is temporary. Inaction is permanent. Decisiveness is also a confidence multiplier. The more decisions you make, the stronger your judgment becomes. Each choice executed strengthens your ability to see clearly, act quickly, and trust yourself. Hesitation is a cycle of weakness. It breeds doubt, and doubt breeds more hesitation. The only cure is action, repeated and unflinching. Think about the people you admire. Every one of them has a habit in common: they make decisions. Quick, calculated, and final. Their speed does not guarantee perfection, but it guarantees progress. Progress compounds. Momentum builds. Opportunities multiply. Hesitation guarantees nothing but regret. Decisiveness requires rejection. Choosing what not to do is as important as choosing what to do. The indecisive try to keep all doors open, but this is a trap. Focused action demands closure. Every decision closes one path so another can open fully. That is how results are created, by eliminating options that do not serve your purpose and committing fully to those that do. Emotional control is essential. Fear, pride, or overthinking can paralyze. Decisiveness ignores these distractions. It acts because the mind understands that action generates insight and momentum, while hesitation generates regret and opportunity cost. Waiting does not make you safer, it makes you weaker. And let's strip away sentimentality. The world does not wait. The market does not pause. Opportunity does not linger politely. You either act or someone else will. Indecision is invisible. It does not announce itself. It creeps quietly into every area of life until you look around and realize another year has passed and you are still standing in the same place. Decisiveness is cultivated through practice. Start small, act quickly on minor choices. Say yes or no with intention. Complete decisions fully and without apology. Each act of decisiveness strengthens the muscle until it is unbreakable. Indecision fades. Fear becomes irrelevant. Action becomes second nature. Here's the ultimate truth: decisive people are feared, respected, and unstoppable. Indecisive people are ignored, forgotten, and replaceable. The difference is not intelligence, resources, or talent. It is willingness to decide and act while others hesitate. If you enter 2026 without decisiveness, you will drift. You will follow instead of lead. You will watch others achieve while you rationalize your inaction. But if you master this habit, your life becomes yours to command. Every opportunity, every challenge, every choice bends to your willingness to act with courage, clarity, and speed. Indecision kills silently. Decisiveness kills obstacles. Choose, commit, execute, repeat. That is how power is built. That is how legacies are made. Pressure doesn't break the strong, it exposes the weak. Most people quit long before they reach the finish line. They stop when the work gets hard, when the results are delayed, when the struggle becomes uncomfortable. They call it realistic, practical, or self-care. The truth: they are weak. They lack the persistence to push through the exact moments that separate mediocrity from greatness. Pressure is not your enemy. It is your test. And if you fail to persist under it, failure becomes inevitable. Persistence under pressure is the defining quality of every person who achieves extraordinary results. Talent alone cannot carry you. Intelligence alone cannot carry you. Luck alone cannot carry you. Only persistence, the relentless refusal to quit when circumstances are unbearable, when progress is invisible, when others would have folded, creates unstoppable momentum. Let's strip away the sugarcoating. Life is designed to pressure you. Challenges, setbacks, delays, criticism, failure, they will all come. Everyone encounters them. The difference between those who succeed and those who fail is not the absence of obstacles, it is the ability to keep moving forward despite them. Pressure is inevitable. Quitting is optional. Persistence under pressure starts with a mindset that refuses excuses. No one owes you comfort. No one guarantees results. Pain, difficulty, and resistance are constants. Your choice is simple. Retreat into excuses and mediocrity, or stand firm, endure, and execute relentlessly. Every person who achieves greatness chooses the latter, even when every instinct screams to quit. Here's the brutal reality most people refuse to face. Failure feels temporary. Quitting feels permanent. One step further, one extra hour, one additional attempt. The difference between persistence and surrender is almost invisible in the moment. Yet that single step changes everything. Those who persist understand this. They move when others stop. They continue when others give up. They act when the crowd panics. Persistence under pressure requires obsession with purpose. Weak minds give up because the discomfort outweighs desire. Strong minds endure because their purpose is bigger than temporary suffering. They understand that struggle is not a punishment. It is the proving ground. Every challenge is a signal, a measurement of commitment. If you shrink under it, your vision was never real. If you endure, your vision becomes inevitable. Pressure will attack in every form: financial strain, emotional fatigue, criticism, rejection, failure. Each attack is an opportunity to quit, and most people take it. Persistence requires you to see through the chaos, to isolate the work that matters, to continue forward regardless of noise, opinion, or immediate result. It is not glamorous. It is not convenient. It is not appreciated by anyone but you. Understand this clearly. Persistence under pressure is a muscle. It is strengthened each time you endure what others would abandon. Small acts of endurance compound into unshakable resilience. The more you resist quitting, the less likely you are ever to quit again. Weakness dies when tested repeatedly. Strength grows. Comes fuel. Pressure is ruthless. So must you be. Relentless persistence under pressure is not optional. It is the foundation of extraordinary results. Endure, act, repeat, and nothing can stop you. You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Most people ignore this fact, pretending that their environment doesn't shape their mind, their habits, or their results. They float through life surrounded by distractions, weak ambition, and negativity, and then wonder why they never get ahead. Here's the brutal truth. Your circle determines your ceiling. If you want extraordinary results, you cannot afford weak associations. Not tomorrow, not next week. Now, association with the right minds is not about popularity. It is not about networking for convenience. It is not about being seen. It is about alignment with people who elevate your thinking, challenge your excuses, and demand your best. The wrong company will drain your energy, distort your vision, and normalize mediocrity. You cannot rise above the standards of those around you. Period. Look at the people in your life. How many of them inspire action, courage, and growth? How many of them celebrate excuses, feed doubt, or indulge laziness? You may call them friends, you may call them family, but if they do not push you forward, they are quietly holding you back. And the harsh reality is this: comforting company kills ambition faster than poverty ever could. The right minds do 3 things relentlessly. They teach, they challenge, and they elevate. They force you to confront your weaknesses, to think critically, and to act decisively. They do not coddle, they do not excuse, they do not celebrate mediocrity. Weak associations, on the other hand, will justify your failures, distract you with gossip, and convince you that average is acceptable. Most people tolerate the latter because confrontation is uncomfortable. That discomfort, however, is the exact price of growth. Association is influence in disguise. Every word you hear, every habit you observe, every mindset you absorb becomes part of your operating system. Weak minds instill doubt, normalize procrastination, and cultivate fear. Strong minds instill courage, discipline, and relentless action. If you want results, you must surround yourself with people whose standards are higher than yours, who expect more than you think you deserve, and who push you into excellence, not comfort. The brutal part is this: association requires sacrifice. Some people in your life are not optional. They are dead weight. Cutting ties, distancing yourself, or ignoring advice from well-meaning but limiting individuals is uncomfortable. It is lonely. It may even be controversial. But if you refuse to take this step, your potential will never be realized. Comfort is lethal when it comes at the expense of growth. The right minds also challenge your excuses relentlessly. Every successful person has been confronted by others who refuse to let them hide behind weakness. That confrontation is uncomfortable, but it is necessary. People who agree with everything you say, people who never question your reasoning, people who indulge your excuses, these people are anchors, not allies. If you want to ascend, you must embrace those who demand more of you than you demand of yourself. Association with the right minds is also about modeling behavior. Action speaks louder than theory. You learn faster, act faster, and achieve faster when you are immersed with those who have already done what you want to do. Their mindset, habits, and standards become contagious. The wrong minds transmit laziness, fear, and mediocrity like a virus. You cannot afford infection. Here's the reality most people avoid. Growth is uncomfortable. Excellence requires friction. You will clash with some people. You will face criticism, misunderstanding, even resentment. That is the price of surrounding yourself with the right minds. Weak associations are comfortable. They are easy. They make you feel accepted. But they also make you irrelevant. You cannot achieve greatness in comfort zones. The right minds create accountability. They notice when you slack, when you hesitate, when you make excuses. They call it out and they demand action. Weak associations ignore your failures, accept mediocrity, or worse, encourage it. The difference between stagnation and exponential growth is who you allow to hold your mirror. Another brutal truth: association is not static. You cannot build extraordinary results with ordinary relationships. Every year, your circle must evolve. You must constantly evaluate influence. Who elevates you, who drags you down, who challenges you to think, act, and execute at a higher level. The answer determines whether you rise or remain invisible. Do not be fooled by proximity or history. Just because someone has been in your life for years does not mean they deserve to stay. Loyalty to comfort is not loyalty to success. If the person beside you does not stretch you, challenge you, or demand your best, they are silently eroding your potential. The most ruthless lesson is this: the people you tolerate in your life set the limits of your ambition. You cannot outperform the collective mindset of your inner circle. Weak minds normalize failure, mediocrity, and hesitation. Strong minds normalize courage, action, and results. Decide which side of the equation you want to be on. If you enter 2026 without ruthlessly curating your associations, you will enter it surrounded by weakness, distraction, and wasted potential. You will float along, carried by the drift of others' limitations. But if you surround yourself with the right minds, every interaction becomes a catalyst, every conversation a sharpening tool, every relationship a lever that multiplies your potential. The choice is simple, but it is uncomfortable. Comfort will keep you average. Challenge will make you unstoppable. Your circle either elevates you or anchors you. There is no middle ground. Surround yourself with those who demand your best or accept the fact that you will remain average, unnoticed, and replaceable. That is the truth of association. That is the truth of influence. That is the foundation of every life that achieves extraordinary results. Emotions are powerful. They can either make you unstoppable or destroy you silently. Most people believe emotions are uncontrollable, something that just happens to them. They think losing their temper is normal, that fear is unavoidable, that jealousy is natural, that sadness is permanent. They are wrong. Uncontrolled emotions are a silent assassin, destroying decisions, relationships, productivity, and ultimately the trajectory of your life. If you cannot command your emotional state, you will forever be at the mercy of circumstance, people, and random events. Emotional control is not about suppressing feelings, it is about mastery over reaction. Weak people react immediately. They lash out, they panic, they worry, they spiral. Strong people respond deliberately. They observe, assess, and act with precision. That distinction is everything. Every decision, every opportunity, every outcome is shaped by the state of your mind. If your emotions control your actions control your failures. Let me make this brutally clear. Uncontrolled emotions ruin careers, sabotage relationships, and destroy health faster than any external obstacle. Anger leads to irrational decisions. Fear leads to paralysis. Envy leads to resentment that eats potential quietly. Excitement without discipline leads to overcommitment and burnout. The world does not pause for your feelings. It reacts to your output. Emotional chaos destroys output. Control begins with awareness. You must recognize every emotional impulse as it arises, not hours later. You must name it, analyze it, and decide whether it serves your purpose. This is uncomfortable, it is inconvenient, it is demanding, but without it, you are a slave to fleeting impulses. Most people justify emotional weakness. I'm stressed, so I yelled. I'm upset, so I quit. I'm jealous, so I sabotaged. These are excuses. Emotional control is not conditional on comfort. It is practiced in the moments that are hardest. When stress is high, when pressure is intense, when stakes are real, that is where character is forged. And where ordinary lives separate from extraordinary ones, emotional control also requires discipline of thought. Thoughts generate feelings, and feelings drive action. If you allow negative or irrational thoughts to dominate, your emotions will follow, and your actions will reflect them. Mastery over thought is therefore inseparable from mastery over emotion. Control your mind, or your emotions will control you. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Emotional control is counterintuitive. Most people believe they are authentic when they react freely. They call unfiltered anger passion, unrest, reigned fear, honesty, uncontrolled excitement, enthusiasm. In reality, uncontrolled emotion is weakness disguised as authenticity. Strength is the ability to feel fully, but act strategically. Strength is the ability to remain calm when chaos surrounds you. Strength is the ability to focus under pressure without letting feelings hijack your decisions. Emotional control demands patience. It demands delayed gratification. It demands the ability to endure discomfort without surrendering to impulse. A momentary loss of control can undo months of effort. A single emotional outburst can alienate allies. A panic-driven decision can destroy opportunities. Every time you react instead of respond, you surrender a piece of your power, but the reward is enormous. Those who master emotion act with clarity, precision, and effectiveness even in extreme conditions. They make decisions based on reason and purpose, not reaction. They inspire trust, loyalty, and respect because they are unshakable. People follow calm leaders. Opportunities align with composed actors. Emotional mastery is leverage, a force multiplier that makes intelligence, skill, and discipline exponentially more effective. Another brutal truth, control is not natural. Most people are trained to react, not respond. Society rewards expression of emotion, but rarely rewards strategic restraint. That is why emotional control must be deliberately practiced. You must simulate pressure, anticipate triggers, and rehearse calm. You must train yourself to breathe, to pause, to act with intention. Strength is built in preparation before crises arrive, not during them. Emotional control also demands ruthless self-honesty. You cannot fix what you refuse to see. Admit the emotions that hijack you. Understand the patterns that weaken you. Study your reactions like a scientist, and then implement interventions that prevent future derailment. Avoidance and denial are the enemies of mastery. Here is the final truth. Life is not fair. Events, people, and circumstances will test you constantly. Weak people break. Strong people bend without snapping. Emotional control does not eliminate challenge. It allows you to navigate it strategically. Pressure becomes manageable. Decisions become precise. Actions become unstoppable. Your life is no longer dictated by chaos, but guided by your deliberate control. If you enter 2026 without emotional mastery, you will continue to be reactive. You will be controlled by circumstances, dominated by temporary feelings, and sabotaged by impulses. But if you master your emotions, every challenge becomes an opportunity. Every conflict becomes a test of strategy, and every decision is executed with confidence and clarity. Emotions are inevitable. Weakness is optional. Master yourself, or be mastered. That is the cost of power. That is the foundation of extraordinary results. Knowledge is useless if it is not applied, and yet most people spend their lives stagnating, pretending they are learning while the world passes them by. Most people enter each year thinking they will figure things out, relying on luck, instinct, or repetition of past behavior. They consume the same content, repeat the same routines, and convince themselves that small, comfortable habits are enough. They are wrong. Every day without learning is a day wasted. Every day without self-improvement is a day your potential shrinks silently, invisibly, while others advance. Daily learning is not optional. It is survival. The world does not pause for your convenience. Industries change. Technology evolves. Standards rise. If you are not growing, you are falling behind. The most brutal reality is that stagnation is invisible. You don't notice it until one day you wake up and realize that the people who started behind you have surpassed you. Growth is not guaranteed. It is earned every single day. Self-improvement is the act of taking deliberate action to become stronger, sharper, smarter, and more capable than you were yesterday. It is not theoretical. It is measurable. It is applied. Reading a book without understanding, listening to a podcast without taking notes, or attending a seminar without execution, these are illusions of progress. Real improvement is applied knowledge transforming into action that yields results. Most people fail at self-improvement because they are inconsistent. They wait for motivation to strike, for convenience to align, for clarity to appear. That is a mistake. Motivation is fleeting. Convenience is rare. Clarity often comes only after action. Self-improvement demands discipline, not inspiration. It demands daily, deliberate effort, repetition that compounds invisibly until mastery becomes inevitable. The uncomfortable truth is this: growth requires discomfort. If your daily learning does not challenge you, expand your thinking, or expose your weaknesses, it is wasted effort. The human mind craves ease. It will fight against growth at every step, preferring repetition, comfort, and low-risk habits. Persistence in learning is the battle against your own instincts. Most people lose this battle. Those who win embrace discomfort as the fuel of transformation. Daily learning also demands selectivity. Not all information is created equal. Most people consume vast amounts of shallow, irrelevant, or distracting content and call it learning. Social media, gossip, opinion, and trivial news will fill your mind and leave it weaker, not stronger. The right learning is deliberate, focused, and purposeful. It directly advances your skills, your understanding, and your capacity to achieve. Every hour spent on low-value input is an hour stolen from your potential. Self-improvement is also about habits. Knowledge alone is insufficient. You can read hundreds of books and still fail if you do not integrate lessons into daily practice. Habits turn learning into action. Systems turn action into results. The bridge between knowledge and success is company, consistent application. Without it, learning is vanity. With it, it is power. Another brutal reality: most people believe they have time. They think they can improve later, after work, after responsibilities, after life calms down. That is an illusion. Time will never be convenient. Learning and growth must become non-negotiable daily priorities. Every day you defer improvement is a day your competitors gain an edge you will struggle to reclaim. Self-improvement also requires humility. You must recognize your weaknesses, confront your blind spots, and accept that there is always more to learn. Ego is the enemy of growth. Arrogance convinces you that you already know enough, that you are good enough, that further effort is optional. The harsh truth: if you ever stop learning, you stop leading, you stop adapting, you stop winning. Daily learning is compounding. Small actions repeated relentlessly create exponential results. A single hour of deliberate study, practice, or reflection may feel insignificant today, but over weeks and months it reshapes your skill set, your mindset, and your capacity to act decisively. Ordinary effort repeated is extraordinary over time. Self-improvement is also mental fortification. Every challenge you face is easier to overcome with more knowledge, better skills, and sharper thinking. Every mistake is less costly when you have learned from experience. Every opportunity is easier to seize when you are prepared. Growth is not just accumulation, it is leverage. It multiplies your impact, your results, and your potential. Here's the brutal truth most people refuse to accept. You are falling behind whether you notice it or not. Every day spent in stagnation allows others to outpace you. Every day without learning, without refining skills, without stretching capabilities, is a day your potential diminishes. The world will not pause, competitors will not slow down, opportunities will not wait. If you are not advancing, you are declining. If you enter 2026 without committing to daily learning and self-improvement, you will enter it the same as every year before, reactive, unprepared, and falling behind. But if you embrace relentless growth, every day becomes a step toward mastery. Every lesson becomes a weapon. Every skill becomes leverage. And over time, the person you were yesterday becomes unrecognizable compared to the person you become tomorrow. Learning is the engine. Self-improvement is the fuel. Together, they are unstoppable. Stagnation is the silent killer. Growth is the ruthless advantage. Choose one and commit. There is no alternative. Faith is meaningless without action. Execution is powerless without faith. Most people misunderstand this. They think believing is enough. They think planning is enough. They think dreaming is enough. They are wrong. Faith without execution is fantasy. Execution without faith is chaos. Unshakable faith in execution is the single force that turns vision into reality, ideas, into results, and potential into unstoppable momentum. Without it, you are wandering blindly, hoping, procrastinating, and giving life your half-effort. Faith in execution is not blind optimism. It is not wishful thinking. It is a deliberate, relentless belief in the power of action. It is the certainty that if you commit, work, and persist daily, the results will follow. The difference between people who achieve and people who fail is not luck or talent. It is this unwavering conviction that action matters more than circumstance. Let me be brutally honest. Most people fail because they act sporadically, inconsistently, or half-heartedly. They plan, they hesitate, they procrastinate, they try when it's convenient, they wait for motivation, they wait for perfect conditions. And in the meantime, life passes, momentum is lost, opportunities evaporate. Faith in execution is the antidote. It insists that done consistently is more powerful than done perfectly. Unshakable faith in execution begins with clarity of purpose. If you know what you want and why, you stop questioning the steps. You stop rationalizing delay. You stop letting fear dictate action. You act because your mind is aligned with your vision. Faith in execution demands that you trust the process, even when results are invisible, even when the world doubts you, and even when failure seems inevitable. The path is never straight, but unwavering action bridges the gap between intention and outcome. The brutal reality is this: execution is uncomfortable. It is exhausting. It demands sacrifice, discipline, and persistence. Most people quit before they understand the power of consistent effort. They call their giving up realistic or practical, but in truth they are surrendering to weakness. Faith in execution is not conditional on comfort. It thrives in pressure, in resistance, in chaos when most would retreat. Faith in execution also demands accountability. You must measure your actions daily, adjust ruthlessly, and refuse to ignore mistakes. It is not enough to hope things will work out. You must act, observe, and correct. Every delay and adjustment compounds failure. Every repetition of half-effort solidifies weakness. Execution without faith in its importance is aimless. Faith without execution is useless. Together, they are unstoppable. Here's the uncomfortable truth. The world does not reward potential. It does not reward talent. It rewards consistent, deliberate, unflinching action. And the stronger your belief in the value of that action, the more momentum you generate. Faith in execution transforms doubt into persistence, obstacles into learning, and setbacks into leverage. Those who waver, hesitate, or act inconsistently are left behind, while the committed build unstoppable momentum quietly and relentlessly. Execution without faith becomes mechanical, joyless, and reactive. Faith without execution is wishful thinking. The combination, however, creates focus, energy, and direction. It eliminates hesitation. It forces courage when fear is strongest. It allows you to push forward when everything inside you wants to stop. Those who master this habit act decisively, continuously, and strategically. They turn every plan into results, every idea into influence, and every intention into achievement. Another brutal reality: the results of unshakable execution are often invisible at first. Early action may appear fruitless. Days, weeks, and months may pass without obvious reward. Most people quit in this period convinced that their effort was wasted. But faith in execution understands the compounding effect. Momentum builds quietly, invisibly, until it becomes unstoppable. Execution is never wasted when performed with consistency, focus, and belief. Faith in execution also protects against fear. Fear of failure, fear of criticism, fear of judgment. They all attack relentlessly. Those who lack faith in their actions freeze. Those who combine faith with execution act anyway. They understand that progress does not require certainty. It requires commitment, persistence, and belief that doing the work relentlessly is non-negotiable. This habit is not convenient. It is not easy. It is not celebrated by the weak. But it is essential. Without it, every other habit, clarity, discipline, persistence, learning, loses its power. Faith in execution is the engine that converts effort into results, struggle into mastery, and vision into reality. Without it, potential is wasted and opportunity slips silently past. If you enter 2026 without unshakable faith in execution, you will enter it the same way as every year before, hesitant, reactive, and short of results. You will watch others achieve while you rationalize delay. You will make plans that never materialize, and dreams will remain ideas instead of legacies. But if you embrace this habit, every action compounds, every decision gains weight, every day becomes a step toward unstoppable momentum. Faith in execution is ruthless. It demands courage, discipline, consistency, and vision. It is the difference between dreaming and achieving, wishing and winning, stagnation and progress. It is the final piece that turns all other habits into results. Master it, and nothing can stop you. Ignore it, and nothing else will matter. Unshakable faith in execution is non-negotiable. It is the foundation of extraordinary results. It is the force multiplier that separates winners from the rest. Believe in action. Commit to consistency. Execute relentlessly. That is how you dominate, build, and achieve. 2026 does not care about your intentions, your excuses, or your comfort. It will reward only those who act deliberately, relentlessly, and without compromise. The habits we have discussed, the clarity of purpose, relentless discipline, mastery of your thoughts, control over time, decisiveness, persistence, under pressure, the company you keep, emotional mastery, daily learning, and unshakable faith in execution are not optional. They are the foundation of results that last, influence that matters, and a life that cannot be ignored. The uncomfortable truth is this: if you enter the new year without them, nothing will change. You will drift, react, and watch opportunities pass while wondering why your potential remains unfulfilled. But if you commit, if you execute relentlessly, if you build these habits into your very being, 2026 becomes your proving ground. Every challenge turns into momentum. Every obstacle becomes leverage. And every action compounds into unstoppable results. So stop waiting. Stop rationalizing. Stop letting fear, laziness, and doubt dictate your life. Decide today, commit fully, execute relentlessly. Let this year be the one where you refuse mediocrity, refuse excuses, and refuse to be average. Enter 2026, not hoping for success, but demanding it, creating it, and earning it with every habit, every action, and every moment of your life. The choice is yours. Choose wisely or be